Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. I'm going to do a solstice reading today. Today is Saturday the 20th, so the solstice being tomorrow and then onwards and whatever wants to come through today. But I'm really excited to be able to read today in the energy that I'm in right now, because the last time I did a reading, I was in the middle of a really intense compression. So if you watched that reading, I'm sure you felt that or were relating to that. But and I had said recently in a post, I felt like I had like a fireball of compression inside of my body that was just like burning off everything that wasn't a match to that up leveling that we did through that 6/6 portal, and it was really freaking intense. And I had all that pain down through the right side of my body, and so all of that has cleared. And so now I'm in this really sort of watery, healing type of energy. Last time I was in a very fiery, alchemical type of energy. In fact, I had somebody write to me, and she was like, because I had intended and kind of offered through intention a dedication towards healing and the clearing of any of the blocks or imprints or overlays that some of us were struggling with, or in the midst of, or burning off, and just having a lot of intensity, right? So just offering even if it was just like a tiny little bit to move some of that energy, right? And so she writes to me and she's like, yeah, I felt it. And she's like, and at the end of the reading, I heard my TV pop. And she's like, yep, I had to buy a new TV. You broke my TV. So she's like, and I guess that's the price you have to pay for elevation, So it was just this crazy thing. But you know how technology's like that with energy. When you're my wingman, my friend, and I, when a lot of times when we're messaging with each other, there will be some kind of interference, or like the phones will shut off, or the messages won't send, type of thing when you get that energy going. So I apologize for any trouble I may cause, but yeah. And so anyway, this time I'm in a very, very, very different energy. This morning, I got a massage from this woman, and I was guided to go to her. I found her like a year ago, but it wasn't quite the right time. And so right when I was in that energy, so in the last reading, it was coming up around like sort of like having some intention or doing something in the physical to blend spirit and matter, where two or more gather to help move these things along, that type of thing. And so I worked with her today, and the energy had already kind of like shifted and cleared and moved. Yesterday was the first day that I didn't have extreme pain in almost like a week, maybe even over a week and a half. I think it was a week and a half actually. So anyway, so that had already shifted, but then her and I were able to move it out the whole way through. And so I walked in, so I found her a while ago, but it wasn't quite the right time. So this was the exact divine right timing. I walk in and she was a completely different person than who I thought she was. Yeah, sorry, my brain is going. There was something coming up about a walk-in, like a literal walk-in, and then I said I walked in, so I'm just noticing the synchronous. That's just a piece I'm working on. Okay, so I walk in and I look at her, and immediately she's not who I thought she was, but I feel like I know this person, like my soul knows her soul, and so we were both kind of just staring at each other. And when I was sharing with her beforehand, it was like the way we were just journeying. We were journeying through the eyes, and she's like this incredible listener. So I had this amazing experience, and she uses her feet. Like there were times where I had my eyes closed and I was like, are her feet like on my face, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about that, but it was amazing. And it was multidimensional, and there was all this stuff moving. And so at the end, I was sharing with her, that I do energy work, and that I could feel my energy clearing, and I could feel things happening on many different levels. And so then later she contacted me and asked if I wanted to do trades, because she was curious about my work. So I was like, oh my God, yes. So I get more of this, because I was going to have to wait till I had extra money again. So anyway, that was really, 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 really amazing. And so I felt like that cleared me on a level, because I hardly ever get body work or energy work from other people. I do a lot of it, but I have trouble finding people that I feel comfortable working with. So that was a real gift that happened today. And then right after that, so those of you that listened to the last reading or the last couple readings, or that follow me on Facebook, will know the extreme synchronicity in this. So just sharing some of this magic. Today, right after that, I had enough time to eat and then go downtown. Right in the center of town, they were like consecrating this Apache mural. Okay. And so it was all these photos, historical photos that they printed onto tiles and created this huge mural on the side of the building right in the center of town. And there was like a youth mural that the younger kids would, or the teenagers, whatever age, would do off of the Apache stories. They would hear the stories or tell the stories and this and that, and they would do these scenes, in these tiles. So it was this beautiful, beautiful mural. And so there were Apache elders and young people as well from all over the area in Arizona that came for the consecration of this mural, and they were talking about it in a way like it was symbolizing a huge healing and a huge marker in history to be honored in that way. And so a lot of them were saying, well, this was my great grandmother, and this was, and telling stories. And my favorite part was they were telling stories about the land. And so I'm really, really connected to the land here. It called to me in my dreams before I came, and it's like the mountains and the energy. And so they were talking about it, and they're talking about some of the sacred spots, the birthing spots where all the women for generations would go and birth, on these rocks. And like, I know these areas. And so there was some information about the area that just connected me to what I already felt. And they were talking about, the healing land, that it's a sacred land and it's healing land. And even the town is in the midst of this land, the Apache land. And oh my God, it was so, so, so powerful. And right after we did that crystal placement at the top of Bear Mountain in the Apache medicine wheel, oh my God. So then there's this other synchronicity I want to share, and it directly relates to one of you. I know that, and it might connect with others as well. I know when I shared in that last reading, I was having all these bear synchronicities. A lot of other people all around the world, we're also having bear synchronicities. Okay, so again, the bear and the cave going within, the inner knowing, the pineal gland, just the cave, the retreat, pulling back your energy. I know a lot of us are in that where we're not, we're talking about this in the last reading, we're not leaking our energy to false systems, to false narratives, to false inversions. We're keeping our energy close so that we can be that God fractal and live in communion with what's real. It's almost like it's how you get through the eye of the needle, and being very disciplined about that. And I'll just say real quick that I'm noticing people in my life are dropping habits and addictions and ways that they were diverting their energy. Like, oh my gosh, it's kind of miraculous what I'm seeing, where it's like stuff that I've been waiting for a very long time it's like House of Cards is falling down. So I'm noticing this in the people around me. So anyway, so the bear, the bear, that's kind of bear energy, where it's like, I'm conserving my energy. I'm hibernating. I need to, I need to survive the winter, right? There's kind of an energy like that right now with the spiritual warfare, with the intensity of how things are feeling. And especially if you are transitioning into your power, there's a lot of, like I was talking about last time, the minions, the goblins at the gate, a lot of that kickback energy. And the best way to get through that eye of the needle into that unified field where you are channeling your divine self and your aspect of all that is to really not feed those systems and to pull back so bear medicine. Okay. And so this woman at the end, an elder, she was telling this story, Apache elder, and she's like, I'm going to tell you my bear story. And it turns out that two of the tiles that the kids had done two of them were touched by this bear story. And so they did a tile. So there were in the mural, these tiles of the bear story. So she said, she's talking about the mama bear and her cubs, and how the little boy cubs, the male cubs are just, they run around and they run off. And so, but the mama bear's job was to take the stars and to climb up to the top of the ponderosa pine and the top of the oak trees here, and to put the stars in the sky. But her little boy was running around being bad, and she dropped some of the stars, and so she disciplined him, and you're not, whatever she said, you're not coming with me again, you made me drop the stars. They're supposed to go in the sky, so there's all the symbolism in this. But then at the end she says, so if you're ever walking in our healing lands, and you see a star on the ground, it came from the mama bear in the top of the tree, and that the light of that star will guide you home. And so interesting, because we had gotten lost on the top of Bear Mountain and found our way back, and there was all this magic, and intuition and guidance. And so a lot of really powerful things. But again, the bear and the stars and the constellations in the sky. Okay, so putting that out there. So I'm in a really beautiful energy today and a lot of magic and synchronicity and transmission. So it's going to be fun to read in this energy. Also, the solstice is tomorrow. So I know a lot of people have been talking about June. I always feel June as a compression month, with all where I'm at, in the Northern Hemisphere with all of the lights, I don't know if I'm curious, like if you're in Australia or if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, it's like you probably don't feel that at all. I know I don't feel that in the middle of winter. So I am kind of curious, but I know collectively a lot of people are talking about June, this solstice being like everything changing. I always feel that in June here, not to the degree that I am this year, but a lot of that being because of the excess of light and almost like, oh my God, like too much illumination, like give me a break. I used to put blue all around my house in the summer just to try to give me an illusion of cooling off. But anyways, so yeah, big changes this year. And I know we're all feeling it like unlike any other time. And I've been through so many, I know a lot of us listening have been through so many alchemies and so many dark nights of the soul and so many metamorphoses and all these things. And yet this one is just absolutely off the charts. So let's see what we get. Let's see what wants to come through around the solstice energy and beyond. Just opening up to whatever wants to be said at this time for those of you that are tuning in. Wow. Spider spirit, make your dreams real. So this is another theme that has been coming up for me with the stone placements, because 2 of the times I ran to, so I did 3 so far. I'm actually doing 4 more now, but I did 3 so far. I thought I was only doing 3. Again, this is an 11 being that portal number walking through into the other side. So there's that eye of the needle again. But after I did the placements, both 2 of the times, the first and the third time, there was a spider web. One I walked into and I was like, oh my God, it was like the biggest spider web I've ever encountered in my life. And the other one was right above the spot. I had a picture of it if we're friends on Facebook. There was right above the spot where I had placed the crystal and the water, the sacred water, primal water symbol. There was a spider web in the web of the tree right above it. And so the web representing that unbreakable connection. I was talking about this in the last reading too, through that telepathic network, the intuition and the synchronicity and the spiraling magic of the way spirit is weaving through our own lives and through the people that we're connected to, and through connecting through the readings and connecting through Facebook. If we're friends on there, a lot of us just having just bringing in pieces of the puzzle for each other, or confirming things and this type of thing. So that coming through about this web, and also kind of a reminder, the way it's coming through today is again that we're weaving this together, that we're all a part of this web. It's not an individual thing. So everything that you're doing individually is connected to that web. You make a move and everyone over here feels that wiggle in the web, and it affects them too. That information sends through the networking of these silky fibers, the networking, the telepathic network. So we're working on this together. We're making our dreams real. That being really heightened at this time too, because remember, I'm reading about the solstice energy and this right now. So I definitely do feel a lot of kind of behind the scenes energy and communication. Okay, so 2 cards came out. I'm going to take them both. We get the Chariot, which is a major arcana, and a card of moving forward. You've gone through your dark trials. You found your light. You have both of them together. You have your polarities intact. You're able to move forward with that third energy, but it's coming out with the 3 of air, which is that heartache card. So the message that I'm getting from this, I mean, really, if you think about this card here in our dreams, it's like, what are our dreams other than to be free of the heartache and to be able to just live and ascend and expand and grow as we're able to do when we're not hijacked and overlaid and diverted into trauma patterns and addictions and stuff like that, right? So this is moving forward and through out of this type of energy and this type of suffering. So to me, this is indicating a big shift. Again, the Chariot is a major arcana. It's like divine timing. So and I think it's the Wider's Rate, the way they describe it is like you're on the carousel. So here's the carousel horses, and there's the golden ring. And so I've never been on a carousel with a golden ring, but you know the story of that where you grab the golden ring, you know, and it's the victory, and it's like right there, and you're positioned right there for it, and it's just that divine timing where you grab it and you win. You know, you win. That's the energy right now, and you're winning over this heartache. So there's a real up-leveling energy in this as well, which of course we just did through that 6/6 portal. Also through the cleaning up that we've been doing, like I've been talking about, a lot of the people around me just dropping the addictions, dropping all the things they were just like filling holes because they weren't connected. It's like they're connected now. They're connected to this web. They're feeling the unity. They're feeling their effect on the web, their effect in the world. They're finding purpose. They're finding that they're important. They're finding their worthiness, you know, in the inherent sense of the unity that we all are, which is the grandest sense. Okay. And so that type of thing, we're moving out of this energy of separation and heartache. And of course, the heartache being very important because it's the cracking open of the seed that allows it to grow. It's the compression of the coal that turns it into diamond. And it's that whole, like, you know, the wound is where the light gets in. The crack is where the light gets in. So ring the bells that still can ring. The crack is where the light gets in. I think of that as Leonard Cohen. I have that on a kitchen towel, actually. So I see it all the time. Okay, yeah, okay. So the Page of Swords, very much about that clearing away the cobwebs, you know, so it's like the blue skies up ahead, the clouds are clearing. So another message of that, kind of just reiterating that it's interesting to be. I was talking so much in the beginning of these that I would only have time for a little bit of cards, and now it's only 16 minutes and I already have 4 cards out. So that's fun just to do a little bit different here today. Okay, interesting. So the King of Pentacles, of course, the King of Pentacles, the Pentacles is the earth plane, and it's again that physical and that grounding. So there's something in this energy, again, talking about this grounding, anchoring our dreams, making them real, putting them on the earth, putting them in the earth plane, moving out of a lot of our energy has been engaged and preoccupied in healing and clearing and in battling, you know, and in kind of leaking as well, you know, but even the leaking is part of the training ground, you know, where you eventually find your strength and you stop leaking. And, you know, so it's like the battlefield, you know, we've been engaged in the battlefield, and it's like, you know, the mines have gone off. It's like the smoke is clearing. And so what I'm finding, and I mentioned this a couple of readings ago, but I'm still discovering this, and I'm seeing it like with my daughter and other people as well, where it's like all of a sudden you're like, okay, so also, for example, for me, I've been like, okay, little things, like I have all these Himalayan salt lamps around my house. I have one in almost every room, and I just absolutely love them. And I realize, and because I have a really good relationship with my house, you know, it's like I weave in symbols, and I'm always sort of upgrading my house as I upgrade and all these things. But lately I've been really busy. I've been busy inwardly, and I've been busy with sessions and readings and stuff like that. And my daughter's living with me now, so I don't have as much alone time, but I felt a little out of touch with my home. And so I noticed that almost all of my salt lamps, the lights were burned out. And I was like, how did I not notice that? Like, that's part of the ambiance. That's part of the medicine. That's part of the symbols. Like, how did I not notice that the lights were burned out? You know, and so I bought new night lights, and I replaced them all just the other day. I replaced all the night lights, and I've also planted some new plants outside. So and it's really hot, so I have to like water them, you know, like every day, and I'm always checking on them. And so there's something about like tending to the little things. I'm surprised we didn't get mouse spirit here, like tending to the little things, and it's like pulling, like my attention is pulled more to the physical, and there's something about that feels really important. And that's what came up the last 2 readings, where it's like spirit and matter meeting. So as we're what is that smell? There's a very strange smell. Hold on. Okay, I'm just gonna keep going. I don't know if something's wrong. I left the swamp cooler on today because I was so hot the last time, and there's just a strange smell. I might need to get up and check it, but I'm gonna keep going for a minute here. So, okay. So anyways, our attention being pulled back to the physical again, like, and I was saying this last time too, where a lot of us have been really in the astral and really in the in-between and really in the cleanup and in the psychic battle and all these things, and just really being asked to come into the physical. So the little things like watering the plants and changing the night lights and maybe turning them on in the day and then turning them off at night, all these like little tiny things, cooking the meals, weeding. I did a bunch of weeding this morning. And it's kind of all I want to do. There's something about that, again, that message coming through where not only is it important, but we're able to do that more now because a lot of this stuff is clearing. We're moving out of this dense compression energy, even like the compression I was talking about, the fireball inside of my body, like burning everything off, is like starting to loosen, but it feels like through this solstice window, there's a lot of anchoring and moving more into the physical. Okay. So let's see here. I'm going to go down below and see what we get underneath. Spider Spirit, make your dreams real. Wow. So closing door completion. So that's definitely confirming what I was saying about this and moving on from that energy. So it definitely feels like a real closure and completion through this solstice energy. That's also a 5, and 5s being a number of change. Okay, that's great. Because I know a lot of us were feeling that. We were feeling this new energy coming in. We were feeling this progression. We were feeling this kind of like dreams coming true type of energy. And then there was like all this, like, like the goblins at the gate, as you were like trying to distract you. And then we got to do a little bit more cleanup and see a little bit more refinement of like, again, going through that eye of the needle, how do I like, just really, really seal up so I can slip through here, because I know that this is where I'm going, going into that, where's the 11? Yeah, into the 11 here. You got to slip through that door before it closes so you don't get stuck in hell realm, right? That type of energy. But a lot of us feeling it coming that way and not really, but we know that, we know whenever we're up leveling, and like I was saying in the last reading, I feel it every time, whenever I up level, there's that attack kind of energy through the astral, through the dreams, that Agent Smith type of thing. But there's also, there's also when you're doing, so my friend was reminding me this as well, if you're doing grid work in whatever way that you are, and you're kind of correcting things, whether within yourself or intentionally on the earth as because it's the same template, right? It's a template within our bodies, it's a template within the earth, it's a template within the cosmic. So whatever realm you're working on all of them, because it's all fractals and it's all connected. So no matter where the entry point is, you're working on the larger or smaller picture as well, which reminds me of something else. We'll see if the cards guide me to say this. Yeah, okay. So I don't think I finished my thought there, but that's okay. It'll come back. Or it won't. So yeah, the Ace of Cups. So this is an energy. I always read this as that channel where you're channeling through. You're channeling through exactly what you need. That feels like the new energy on the other side of this door, where when we're in the suffering and we're being hyper vigilant and we're playing the old game, on the other side of this door with this completion, we're allowing ourselves to be a channel. We're allowing ourselves to be a vessel for whatever is needed in the moment. Trusting that whatever that moment is, even if it's something very physical, it's affecting the greater whole. So I do feel like I'm going to share this thing because this was something really powerful that came through for me yesterday. I was driving to the river with my daughter, and we were riding in the car, and she's just been having like soul retrieval after soul retrieval. And she was really fragmented and really in a lot of darkness and compression. I've been talking about this for a while. If you've been listening to me for a while, then you will have, or if you know me, then you know a lot of that story. It's really intense, but she's just like awakening. She's having this, she came in awake. It's not like an awakening. It's like a, like she's done with this. That's what it is. She's done with this because her trek, like a lot of us through this, was part of her initiation and her trials and the bigness of her soul. So she's coming out of this. So I was listening to her, And it's like, that's what I was talking about. You know, one of the things I was talking about, one of the people around me that I'm having this dream come true thing, something I've been waiting for a long time. Same thing's happening for my son at like the exact same time in very similar ways, where it's just like, oh my God, you know, like the veils are just coming off. That's the Page of Swords, where it's like the clouds just part, like you clear away the cobwebs is one of the symbols, which is interesting with this, although we're really honoring the cobwebs here, but the spider webs, but at any rate, clearing things away. So that's happening for both of them. And so I just got like, so I've been waiting, like when I was talking about that pain that I had in my body, and I was like, I haven't reached my edge yet. I haven't like pushed through and had the big, like, oh my God, you know, epiphany experience. And I was waiting for it. I had it in the car yesterday on the way to the river, and I had already felt the energy release. It's like, you know how sometimes you have pain in your body and you can feel that pain isn't done yet. It's like, there's this, again, the compression, and where it's just kind of just like, you know, like just screeching inside of you, and you know that the pain isn't going to go away tomorrow because you still feel the screeching, but eventually you might still have the pain, but all of a sudden everything feels loosened. It's like it's cleared on the energy level. It's like it's done what it needed to do, and you just know that like every hour that goes by it's going to be less and less and less. So that's how I felt yesterday when I woke up, but I was sensing it the night before. You know, I was sensing what I just described the night before, and then when I woke up I was like, oh my God, you know, it was like, it was this type of energy. And so okay, so that was that, right? But there was still that release that I was waiting for did come. And so I was on the way to the river, and we were listening to my music, because that's the other thing that's happened is my daughter used to listen to, like, you know, trashy pop music, and I would let her listen to it in the car when we would go on forest, because it was healing for her, and, you know, just the things you do for love. And so I would use it for alchemy, you know, like Britney Spears and Nicki Minaj talking about their asses, you know, everything I was talking about last time, and just kind of just like infiltrating, you know, this kind of thing. But anyway, now she doesn't want to listen to her music anymore, because she's like, it's pulling me into that energy. And it's just like, she's just up leveled out of all of that crap, you know? And so her and I are really paralleling now in how we're maneuvering with life, which is just so beautiful. We always did, but then she had to take her dive, and now she's back. And so anyway, I'm driving in the car, and I'm listening to her, and we're listening to my music, and we're both journeying with the music, and there's all this like spirit guidance and all these things. And I just start crying, you know, like the dam broke, and it just completely released. And I said to her, do you remember when I would say to you, I can't be free until you guys are free? You know, and so even though my daughter, because they were trapped in a dark situation. And so even though my daughter's been living with me the last 2.5 years, she still had that darkness within her. It was, you know, it created traumas and wounding that allowed things to attach to her, and she had to unravel it. And the way to unravel it was to go back into certain situations and all this, right? So, you know, my son has been stepping out, but there's still, you know, there was just still some tragic elements and stuff like that. And so I was saying, you know, and now I'm feeling my own freedom, because you guys are liberating, and I can see the divine timing in it, and there was never anything wrong. But then I was like, well, you know, none of us can be free until we're all free. It's not just me with my children, it's the whole world. And so I had this huge, oh my God, I'm getting this like sometimes so this has been happening to me lately when I'm doing huge, like, it's connected to my solar plexus. It's connected to empowerment, but it's also connected to like thresholds and moving through into like where you're seeing more clearly or you're claiming something. I get this like deep pain in my solar plexus. So I've been having that lately, and I'm having it right now as I'm starting to talk about this. So this is really huge. In fact, the first time I ever had it, I didn't know I was pregnant with my daughter at the time, and I decided I wanted to be a midwife. So I went to this gathering with these two midwives, and the one woman ended up becoming my midwife, because turns out I was pregnant, and I never ended up doing it. But I was at this meeting, you know, to like learn and decide if we wanted to do this. And I got this pain, and I was like laying in the middle of the floor, and one of the midwives was putting clary sage on my solar plexus. And as it was happening, I was just like, oh my God, I knew her. I just knew her. I remembered her, and I knew we needed to work together. And then she helped me birth my daughter, and we did healing work together, you know, and all this, right? So it's like when big energy is moving. Okay. So I'm realizing I got this huge download confirmed just now by my solar plexus and the way my body speaks to me, and other things as well that we're confirming this morning, that it was like, okay, so it's like this. my children, so I was talking about the fractal with the grids and stuff. It's in our body, the templates, it's in our bodies, it's on the earth, it's in the cosmos with the different star systems and stuff like that. It's the same templating that goes through and down through everything. So when you connect with the true template, not the inverted one, but the hijacked one, you connect with all of it. Okay, so it's this fractal nature of everything. So I honed in on, I saw so clearly that my dedication to my children, because they were in darkness and because I was very worried about them and because I couldn't do anything because I had lost custody, I was constantly with every fiber of my being holding space for my children. So it was like a full-time job. Like I didn't even work. I would like clean houses. Like I would see my kids, a certain amount of time. And when I wasn't with them, I was like, I did a lot in the astral. I would send them energy. And then when they would come to me for the bits of time they were with me, they would be like singing songs or, like telling stories about the imagery I was working with in protection for them. So it's how I was running my healing and my shamanic power, right? Just because it was like, what can I do? I can't do anything. My hands are tied. And so I just went into that realm. Well, what I saw on the way to the river is that me doing that for my children. So this is true for any of you that have, because it is a path. It's like a certain path when you have children that have fallen into darkness and you hold space for them and you can't live your life and it's eating you up and it's like all you do, you're actually assigned to all of the children, to all of the innocent that are experiencing much darker abuse. There's spiritual abuse that my children endured, and then there's much deeper than that I know a lot of us are well aware of. And so and feeling like what I know a lot of us have felt like when it came to that topic, it's like, well, what do we do? We just keep doing our inner work and we keep awakening and changing the consciousness within us and changing the consciousness through the outer world. But I saw it so clearly that some of us that are working directly with the energy of that situation are working with it through, a lot of us, through our own children. Okay. But what I also realize is because it's a fractal, my children healing and coming through is an indicator that something is going on with the children, right? Okay. So I saw that and I was saying to my daughter, I was like, I don't know. I just feel like the other thing that was like in the morning, so my daughter, part of her dark trial, when she had infiltration in her mind and in her dreams, she was shown a lot of really satanic stuff. And she didn't know anything about any of it, but she would tell me. And I was like, holy shit, that stuff is real. And she didn't even know it, but she's being shown it right now. And she was being shown it as a way to sort of like torture her, but she was using it for alchemy and we were using it for alchemy. And so obviously it's very, very connected to what she's doing, special ops. And so several times, there was many months ago, she was remembering this morning. We were out in one of our favorite spots before it got really hot. A lot of amazing energy out there, again, connected to the energy I was connecting with today with the Apache ceremony. And so our invocation, consecration of that thing. And so anyway, she had a dream the night before. It was showing her about the babies and this type of thing. And so she was out there with the water and with the land, and she was sending them love. And so, because she had been fractured from herself, so she could feel in their souls that they were fractured from their soul. So she was like calling and singing them back home. And it was like her own self-love and her own self-healing that she was hooking up to and directly intending to offer it to them. And we could feel it, and the trees were listening and the roots, and there were these huge cottonwoods, and it was this amazing day. If we're friends on Facebook, if you remember I don't know if you remember this photo, but I had a lot of photos. It was powerful energy coming through. But one of them was like, I was leaning above the water and my hair was down and I looked like a mermaid, so there were all these multi-dimensional things. That was the day. This was a little while ago. And so she was remembering that, and she was remembering about the children. And then when I had that experience with the, it was like a link up. It was a synchronicity, right? And so, oh my gosh, there was so much that went on yesterday. Was that just yesterday? That was just yesterday. When we got to the river was like all murky and muddy, and it often is there, but the energy just felt horrible. And we were in such a high vibe place. We were in this expansion and this clearing and this release and the waters. And we both, and I just prayed. I was like, I just welcome magic, and I welcome the highest timeline and the highest outcome and the highest benefit for all concerned on all levels. And then her and I both, I was like, why don't we just explore a little bit back here, because there was all this land, and we always just go to the same spot. And she was like, oh, I was thinking the same thing, that I just wanted to drive around back here. So we went back this road, and I didn't remember where it went, but it went to a lake, and I hadn't been to that lake in a really long time, like 10 years. And the waters were like crystal clear, and they were blue, and they were amazing. And the energy was like, oh my God. Well, so we have a lake here. I don't know if I want to go into this. I think I'm going to go into this because it's all connected. Hang in there. I'm doing this thing again that I do. But so we have a lake nearby here. It's like 3 hours away. Maybe it's called Elephant Butte. And so if you know anything about the toy box killer, I talk about all kinds of dark shit because that's just what's going on in our world. So, if you're not into dark shit, you might want to hop off. But so this toy box killer, he would, so this is down near Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. He would kidnap these women, and he had this shipping container that he used to torture people. Tortured these women, sexually torture them, and then he would dump them out in the desert, and if they would accidentally die, he would dump them in the lake, in Elephant Butte, in this lake. Yeah, that smell. Hold on, I'm gonna pause. Can I pause you? I can pause you. I'll be right back. Did it work? Yes. Okay, cool. I've never done that before. Yeah, it was my belt. It's like burning. My belt was burning. So I'm going to get hot again. But anyway, where was I? Yeah, the toy box killer. So as we were approaching the lake, I could feel that, because the other thing that's crazy is my daughter was journeying with the toy box killer for a long time. And she was, I don't know, it was like part of that trial. She was just, and other serial killers, like she was just going into that realm. She was assisting and tuning into the archetype and making all these connections. And yeah, she's a dragon. And so she was talking about that in the morning as well. And we didn't know we were going to a lake. And so when we got to that lake, I was sort of like a little, it was hot. And I was a little like altered and in between. And for a second, I was like, oh, I can't go in that lake. That's where the dead bodies were. But then I'm like, oh, no, that's not that lake. Well, so we got to the parking spot, and I was like, do you want to get out? And she said, no, I don't want to get out. So I got out and I went in by myself. And as soon as I got in, I felt all this density lift through my body and through, again, the fractals, through, and I put my hands in the air, and I just was like, oh, I just wanted to dive in, but we had to drive home, and she didn't want to go. And I knew I'd be like soaking wet and, like all that. So I didn't dive in. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back another time and swim there and really spend some time there. Anyway, so I get in the car, and turns out she was journeying. She was doing some alchemy. It was around the toy box killer, because she was thinking of the same thing when we got to the lake. And that's why she didn't want to get out of the car. She was in the midst of this like astral process. And she said right when it cleared, she looked at the clock, and it was 2:22, and I was in the water. So it's like, and I wasn't in the water long. So we were doing this thing, And so it has to do with, again, abuse and torture of the innocent, the children, but also the women. And so all of this. And so, oh God, that really smells. I need to call somebody to look at that. So, anyway, so all of that, hold on, let me gather myself. The children. Yeah. So something going on right now. And I was saying to her, there's something going on right now, again, as a fractal, and I don't know what it is. I don't know. I'm not a remote viewer. I'm not like ex-CIA, I don't know what is going on, but I feel that something is clearing and healing with the extreme darkness, like the satanic or the serial killer, which is basically satanic, just not involving a direct ritual, right? Obviously working with that same energy. Something is clearing around this right now, the really deepest, darkest bits. And so I don't have confirmation for that, but I trust it will probably come in. That's usually how it works. I did see somebody today, and you might be watching this, and thank you. Her and I have been weaving, but she was talking about, she had a vision. She was shown the new earth, and she was talking about the children and the babies coming in. And so that was the next piece that I forgot, was that what I saw next was that the babies that were being born now, and I've heard somebody say this before too, but it came to me through my own channel, is that they're immune. They're immune to darkness. They're immune to hijack. They're so light that they're coming onto this planet like crystals, restructuring the water. And so my daughter were like, well, shit, it's only going to be like another 15 years or so, or not even that long until these children are grown and planting their seeds, and that it's just such a hopeful message of that everything is already in motion to be, what's the word, like a sunrise. When the sun comes up, the darkness is, there's just no more dark, there's no more shadow, because the sun is up and everything can be seen. It's like that. It's like the darkness is on its way out. It's already being replaced by these new souls, so and that's what she was talking about. That was this woman was talking about. But there's also there's something on the opposite side of that with the children that were covered in darkness, like my daughter, not to the degree that some were, but her working as a fractal along the continuum, right? If like here's the pit of hell, and somebody's over here, you're working down here too, because you're in the same energetic thing, and maybe you've been down there in your other lifetimes, or maybe some parallel timeline of you is, right? A lot of people working those energies. So something really huge about that right now. Probably gonna keep this a little short, I think, and go check on that, because this smells a little concerning. Whoa, I have never gotten this card before. I have been using these. They're fairly new, but I've been using them for maybe 6 or 7 months. I've never gotten this card before. It's called Me Talks. Repairing the body, mind, spirit. Wow. So this is coming out. Hold on. This card is coming out underneath this. The chariot moving forward. The forward movement is through your channel, through your flow. Okay, so this next one is repairing your body, mind, and spirit after all of this. So again, using my daughter or the children, or even just the trauma of living on a planet where everything is so absolutely fucked up and normalized, right? Okay, all of this, all the things that we've gone through, the knots, the deceptions, the betrayals, the pain, the hurt, the abuse, all of it. And that's what I'm feeling right now, connected to this as well, into that anchoring of the energy, bringing embodying, becoming embodied. Like last night I cleaned, and I'm so glad I did, because I had a massage today, but I didn't do it for that reason. I just felt to do it. I cleaned because my feet were all muddy from the river, and my toenails, and all this. So I cleaned everything. I used a loofah, and I scrubbed, and I put, did a file on my feet because they're all rough from walking barefoot, and I put like this thick, lanolin oil on, and all these things, and trimmed my toenails and to the edges and all this, and just taking care of myself like a spa day, but again, it's like changing the light bulbs in my salt lamp. It's like my feet, tending to my feet. Oh my gosh. And then I was like massaged with someone's feet today, the parts of us that we forget, like tending to ourselves in the physical, tending to our homes. Like I need a new pillow, or I need a new, whatever it is, but bringing everything back down, because again, like my daughter, being off in those astral realms and doing so much cleanup and so much service and so much sacrifice, and now kind of bringing it down into the self-care. Also the detox, like with the massage today, or like with the lake, just allowing all of the all of this energy, all of the things that are no longer matched to us, to release, and conjuring that, and intending for that, and taking actions in the physical for that, to bring ourselves back, body, mind, spirit. There's that Trinity number again, the body and the mind allows the spirit to be the channel that flows through as we anchor our unique energetic signature down. So that self-care being really important. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 more, and then I will wrap this up. We'll see what comes out underneath the Page of Swords here. Wow. So the 10 of Swords. So yeah, we're taking it next level from the 3 of Swords, the 3 of Air, it's the 10 of Air, the 10 of Swords. This is kind of the heartache. This is what cracks you open, and this is when you go the whole way through that alchemy and out the other side. This is kind of what happened for me after 20 years of suffering and pain and holding space and alchemizing and crunching, through all that space holding for my children. And now this is a death and rebirth. It's when you fall into emotional release. And that's what I was saying in that last reading. I haven't had the breakdown yet. I haven't hit the edge, and I welcome it, because it's like you know that you're done with something when you have tears, when you break down, when it's like they call it the Thelma and Louise card, where there's nowhere left to go but into deep emotion. And that deep emotion is the alchemy. And so I'm in a very watery energy today instead of the fiery energy. So inviting the tears, inviting the breakdowns. And then it's the rebirth energy, becomes rebirth energy. Here's the sunrise coming, the dark, the dark clouds, but the sun is going to, push on through and illuminate everything, which is definitely what's happening right now, coming out underneath this. This is that illumination. Yeah. Clearing away all of this, getting on the other side. So confirming that, getting on the other side. Again, the closing door. Okay. We're coming out of the nightmare. It's been a long nightmare. It's been a really long nightmare. Eons of being hunted and chased, and all of this in our cellular memory and the compression. That's what I said to the woman today. I was like, I feel like I'm in a place in my healing where my nervous system or my subconscious is finally starting to feel that it's safe. So I feel like we can train my body to finally relax, because I came in, shoulders were always up, and I always felt something was watching me, and, no doubt it was. And I had to train my body to relax and train myself to allow my hips to sway, because I felt like I couldn't let my body move in the natural movements the way the feminine body wants to move, because I didn't want to draw attention, and I didn't want to, I didn't feel safe, right? So allowing your body to, to open and relax and to do what it needs to do, right? And so, again, all of this is stored. All of our Akashic atrocities are stored in our fascia, are stored in our bodies. And so allowing that to detox out now. But this indicating that it is happening, we're getting on the other side of that. And of course, when it's really, really intense, and those compressions are where you feel like me last week or the last 2 weeks with the fireball energy, it's like I was excited because I knew I was in a threshold. I knew I was coming into one of these. And so that you're breaking through, So if you are still in that energy, or if you haven't reached it yet, just know that it's a really good sign, that it's worth it, and to just keep going and to just honor it, because, the whole thing that we're supposed to always be moving forward and productive, and and if we don't, we're a failure and something's wrong. It's like, no, that's the lie. The truth of reality is not linear. It doesn't move like this. It moves in spirals. It curves. You reach the same spot again a little while later, and it doesn't mean that you're a failure. It means that you've gone deeper and you're ready to go a deeper level, and you're ready. And so now we're on this level of real breakthrough. So it can be really, really intense. The more you can celebrate it, and the more you can understand why and how these things happen, the truth of this reality, the wisdom in these silky threads that can never lose their wisdom, that telepathic network, the mycelium, the primal water, the unity in water, the truth codes, the truth about this realm, cosmic law. The more you can surrender to what's happening, again, the light and the dark being together. You don't freak out when you have the dark. You know that it's part of it. You know that the storms are part of how we evolve. The breakdown, the death and the rebirth is part of how we grow and how we heal and how we bring our body, mind, and spirit back together, when we honor all of that, when we allow it to be there. There's imagery in this. I'm going to have to look at this card later. Look at this. There's like an eye. It looks like there's an eye right there. Doesn't that look like an eye? It reminds me of this photo that I took at the river yesterday. It looked like an eye through this tree, and there were even eyelashes, and it was just seeing, I was seeing the heaviness of the river, the overlays, just witnessing it, being able to witness your darkness, witness it and be present with it while you nurture yourself at the same time. There's the light as well. What is that? Let me let you look at it too. I can't tell what it is. I'm going to have to put glasses on and look at it later. And what is that? Are those little fairies? This is really interesting. And I also love that a new card is coming up, because it shows that we're breaking into new energy. It's I'll work with the same cards kind of over and over and over again. And then it's in the sessions, where there'll be the same patterns. And then all of a sudden there's a new pattern. It's oh my God, humanity is moving into new terrain because there are new patterns showing up. So that's how I'm feeling about this card today. So really, really confirming and indicating that we are moving into new area. We're coming out of this. This indicating it as well, that breakthrough energy. Let's see what comes out underneath the King of Pentacles. That flew out nicely. Okay. Wow. So this is a card that's been coming up for me recently in private and personal readings, the circle. This is another one that I hadn't seen that's starting to come up now, coming full circle. Again, kind of that native energy, which is also the 8, that which is hidden, right? The things behind the scenes. There's a lot of things that are from the dark journey, from the eons of being hunted and all the things that we've been through. There are a lot of things behind the scenes that are coming full circle right now. Even with the Apache, that's how they were feeling, like they were coming full circle into having something in the physical, honoring them and their culture and their tradition and their ancestors right in the beginning of town, right in the middle of town, and there was a poster that was printed of the lands, the sacred lands, and all these things, it was just really profound. So yeah, so full circle like that just being an example, but also in terms of our galactic timelines. And again, something with the children, something coming full circle right now, something behind the scenes, the 8 that we can't see, that we don't know about. We're not being given the information, but this confirming that there's something coming to a completion right now that goes back really far and deep in this energy through this solstice. Okay, so I'm going to do one last closing message. I'm going to do the Angels of Atlantis again. Okay, so let's see. Wow, that's beautiful. This is my favorite card in this deck, Enchantment, and the Unicorn. And so that's that magical realm. And again, the purple is matching up here, the colors matching up here, where we're making our dreams real. We're weaving through that telepathic network where life starts to become magical. It's already becoming magical. A lot of us are experiencing that. Like, yeah, we're closing out this timeline, and what's replacing it is this beautiful enchantment, this weaving through synchronicity. Time is no longer linear. It never was linear. That was part of the illusion. So we're not moving through time in this, we're moving through cycles. We're moving through spirals. We're moving through circles. Oh my gosh. That's another synchronicity. Someone that I'm having so many synchronicities with, she just sent me a Patricia Cota-Robles a vlog about the circle. I didn't even realize that till now. I haven't listened to it yet. I'll do that this evening. So yeah, a lot about the circle. So that's interesting. That'll be an interesting synchronicity. If you listen to Patricia, maybe you can go and find her, go on her website and find that. It might be important if you feel called to listen to that as well. That is our closing message along with the enchantment. But again, everything, nothing is wasted. Everything cycles back around into completion, into seeing why it had to happen, no matter how dark and horrible it was. It's like the knots that we're unraveling and the things that again that we can't see, the 8 that are coming back online to completion are very far back and very hidden in our DNA, in our codex, but they're being completed. Again, that which we can't see. Okay, huge confirmation in that. And then the enchantment on the other side. Again, things aren't linear. Things are moving in spirals and circles, things coming around. Yeah, the circle coming around again. That's how it's always going to be. We're going to have those synchronicities where your time is tracked through the convergence of events. Time is tracked through synchronicity. Time is tracked in this enchanting way where you see God and the web all around you, all that is all around you and within you, being that channel for it. This is the energy that we're moving into. And again, this card really standing out because it's a new one, that me talks, like just again, everything that we were talking about last time, and not leaking your energy, not understanding when you're being a minion, cutting out those things, making that alignment the priority. And that's when you can really step over through that threshold and complete the things that have been cycling for you, complete them, close that door and walk through into this enchantment. It sounds Pollyanna, it sounds like fairy tale. It's not. This is how the nature of reality, again, the fractal of what's real in our bodies and on the earth and the stars, it's all harmonious. It's coming back into harmony. And in that harmony, it was only ever the hijacks and the distortions and the wounding and the traumas that were running the circle in a negative way on repeat, right? That were in the way of this enchantment, getting our magic back, getting our superpowers back, getting our vision back, the clouds clearing, so that's a really beautiful message. I am going to stop there Thank you for listening today. And as we journey through this beautiful solstice portal, again, June being an amazing month of change, and we'll see where we're at on the other side. I just feel so much of this. I feel so much of this the last 2 days, emerging in the field again, anchoring it together, putting our intention on it, tuning into that frequency and not what's leaving, not what's detoxing out of us, but keeping our eyes focused on the energy that's emerging from within and helping each other and building it and having those conversations and sharing those synchronicities and talking about the web and sharing the weird things that, you might feel you shouldn't share, share them, because we're weaving this land together. We're making this real. Each of us that are taking steps in the physical, communicating this with other people, acting on our guidance. We're walking this through. We're walking the template through. We're building and connecting to the true template. So, all right, ending on that, and I will see you next time if I do. All right, have a beautiful week, a beautiful everything. Much love.